Hello friends, welcome to this episode of Science for Common Man. And today's question is, why some things are transparent and why some things are not? Interesting? Let's find it out. And as always, I promise to keep this explanation simple and comprehensive. First of all, let us clearly understand how and why we see things. We see an object when that object is lighted up and light from that object reaches our eyes. If the light from that object does not reach our eyes, we will not be able to see that. See here, when I place this glass in front of my hand, you are still able to see my fingers. That means the light from my fingers is still reaching your eyes in spite of the presence of this glass in between. Or the light is passing through this glass and we say that this glass is transparent. But when I place this thin paper in between, you are not able to see my fingers. Or the light from my fingers is not reaching your eyes, or it is blocked by this thin paper and we say that this paper is opaque. But the question is why this thin paper is blocking the light and why the thick glass is not. So something different is happening when the light falls on this paper and on this glass. To understand it clearly, let us see what light is made up of and what things are made up of. If we zoom into the very content of light, we can see that they are actually composed of traveling packets called photons. At the same time, if we zoom to the highest level into the glass or paper, we can see that they are made up of something called atoms. And an atom has a nucleus in the center and a number of electrons revolving around the nucleus at different circular orbits as we see here. Another interesting fact is that if we see carefully, out of the total space occupied by the atom, the space physically occupied by the nucleus and electrons is so less, and more than 99% of the space is free in an atom. So, when I say that this paper or glass is made up of atoms, it really means that more than 99% of the space occupied by it is free. And the size of the photons is so small that it should easily pass through the free space in all the materials. But it does not happen in the case of this paper. It means that something is trapping or eating the photons when they are trying to pass through the atom. What is it? The villains here are the electrons. The electrons are revolving in different orbits around the nucleus. And here is the interesting part. These electrons can be thought of as frogs sitting on the steps of different level as shown here. And all these frogs are energy hungry and they are looking to catch any fly coming in their way, gain energy and jump to next level. But they will take that fly only if it can provide them sufficient energy to jump to next level. And in the case of a paper or an opaque material, the amount of energy contained in the photon is enough for the frogs to jump to next level, and they absorb any photon reaching the atom and jump to next level. And this happens in all opaque materials. But in a transparent material such as glass, these steps are wide apart, or the difference in energy levels between the orbits are so high and the energy carried by the photons are not sufficient for the frogs to jump to next level, and the frogs or electrons simply allow the photons to pass through. And as a result, the light is allowed to pass through the material and it becomes transparent. And this is why materials like glass is transparent. So, in an opaque material, the photons are absorbed by the atoms and light does not pass through. But in a transparent material, photons are not absorbed by the atoms and light simply pass through. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and support us, and don't forget to click the bell button. Signing off, Science for Common Man.